Learn how you can use the new data virtualization technologies in SQL Server 2022 to access data anywhere, including in your data lakes. This week on Data Exposed. Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this episode of Data Exposed. We're back with the SQL Server 2022 series, and once again joined by Bob Ward. We got lots of exciting stuff that we've covered so far, and lots more to come. So Bob, where are we on this wheel of power for 2022?
I know. It's a lot in 2022, right? Well, actually, we're in the fourth category of the five, called data virtualization and object storage.
Okay, data virtualization and object storage. Does that have something to do with like data lake?
I'm glad you asked that, whether it's a data lake or not. I mean, the concept of data virtualization was from PolyBase, right? We started this idea of SQL Server being a data hub, leave the data where it lives, and query it from SQL Server. So we've expanded on that, and including some features that a lot of people consider to be data lakes. Let's talk about kind of what that looks like. So that's been the challenge. Access data. We realize all your data is not just sitting on SQL Server somewhere, and data lakes have become very popular. So we've snapped in to support that in the following ways. Number one, we're still going to support those great functionalities in T-SQL like open row set and external tables, but you're going to love this new one called CTOS. I'll explain what that is in a little bit later. But we've changed the model some a little bit. We're now using REST APIs in the engine now instead of PolyBase services to support Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake Storage, and S3 compatible storage. Well, what that lights up is the following: the ability now to support Parquet and Delta natively, which a lot of people use in data lakes. So if you think about this combination now, not only supporting Azure storage concepts, look at all the different providers out here for S3. It's not just Amazon S3, it's all the different people that support the S3 compatible storage protocol. And then along the way, we said, well, why don't we just support backup and restore? So it's not a matter of just accessing these files and these systems. You can do a native backup restore as well from SQL Server into and out of S3 compatible storage.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's kind of extending the model and us realizing you want to connect SQL Server to different areas in your business from a storage perspective in new exciting ways. You may have seen some of these partners start talking a lot about this with SQL Server 2022. Now, when I've talked about Parquet and Delta, I've had SQL customers ask me, like, what is the excitement here? Like, why would I care about these files? So first of all, let's talk about S3. Created by Amazon, but it's an open protocol based on REST. It's very popular now. That's why you saw those providers out there. It's typically very inexpensive. It's very durable and a lot of unlimited storage capabilities for you. Naturally, we want to go support that with SQL Server. Parquet is interesting. It's an open source file format, very popular today, and here's why. The schema is built into the file. It's a binary file, and it's columnar based. So it's very efficient for compression and retrieval data, like a column store index type scenario. And then along comes Databricks. They built an open source storage architecture called Delta Lake, supporting a concept called Delta Tables. Delta Tables are really Parquet files, but they've added transaction and log support to the file format. And we naturally said, if these are going to be popular in data lakes, we should support them with PolyBase, right? So if you look a little bit broader now and of the PolyBase story for SQL Server, you look at on the left here, these are the PolyBase services-based ODBC driver support you have. Now you have the new REST API support. And again, the story is amazing. You can join across this. You could build a SQL view in SQL Server that joins SQL tables with Oracle tables from Oracle systems with Parquet tables sitting in S3 storage somewhere. And the SQL user wouldn't know it because you've put an abstraction layer on top of it. That is the beauty of data virtualization.
I love it. It's exciting.
And I want to show it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to see a data lake.
Yeah.
And I've got some simple examples, but I think you'll actually like it. Let's take a look. So first of all, I love this. Just by enabling PolyBase in SQL Server, I can go query a public data set of Parquet files with no credentials and no Azure subscription, no cost, just to see the example. So what I did here is use the open row set T-SQL syntax to access in Azure Blob Storage New York City taxi data that's been stored out there over the last several decades. Now you notice the syntax here. Here's Azure Blob Storage, here's a container, and then here's a folder that's been stored of different Parquet files. So I'm not picking a file, I'm picking a folder.
Okay.
Right? And I'm telling SQL Server it's Parquet based because SQL knows that. So it's format Parquet. So when I select it, it's like an ad hoc data set to query. So I run it, I'll get back data that looks like a SQL Server table. I put a view on top of this. Nobody even knows it's Parquet stored in Azure Blob Storage. It's pretty cool. Now, the other thing that's really interesting about this, we've put intrinsics into the syntax for function support. So let's say I'd like to know the names of the files, of the Parquet files, like to get more information about the structure. I can use this built-in function syntax called file path on top of the folder to run the same open row set that if I query and come back, I will see a set of Parquet files, the actual path of them. So I know kind of what the Parquet format actually looks like.
Awesome.
Pretty neat. Now, one other thing I want to show you, and that is, this is an example that I'm going to show you in the SQL Workshop. We've talked about SQL Workshop before. That's out there now in a GitHub repo. This is a notebook. I know you love notebooks, Anna.
Oh, yeah.
It's a built-in notebook that you can look through the browser and see examples of how to use Parquet with an S3 compatible provider. So I've got several examples here to show you how to get started, but I want to show you CTOS, Create External Table as Select. So what I'm doing is I'm exporting Parquet data into an S3 provider based on a SQL query.
Wow.
You see that right here? Here's a create external table. I'm going to show in here the select statement from the SQL table itself, the location, and think of that as being the target for the Parquet files go. So I can easily just export to Parquet. Now, since it's an external table where the data is stored in Parquet, not in SQL, I can do a join between that new external table and an existing SQL Server table. And no one even knows that the part of the join is really Parquet data behind the scenes.
It's awesome. You're just writing SQL.
I'm just writing SQL, and the data's all staying where it should belong, whether it's in SQL Server, whether it's on the S3 system with Parquet. And this whole technology is based and supported with Azure Blob Storage, Data Lake Storage, or again, any S3 compatible provider.
Awesome. I think people are excited about this.
I think so, because people want to use that common T-SQL language they know and love. You can put security on top of this from a SQL perspective. You can keep your SQL assets and your investments, but still access things like data lakes.
Amazing.
So, I showed you new REST API data sources, of course, using these three different types of technologies. Also, the ability to use Parquet and Delta natively in the system. I didn't show you Delta, but that's supported as well. And then finally, the ability to do backup restore, which is actually could be a quite popular option. And here's why, because S3 providers out there are now becoming popular object storage locations for all sorts of files and organizations. And we're just supporting SQL native backup restore into them.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Bob, thanks so much. I learned a lot during this episode. I think our viewers probably did too. Probably pretty excited about these new data virtualization scenarios. A call out, we were talking a lot about people go try stuff out. You mentioned the SQL Workshop. So just a reminder to folks, in the description, we've got links to all sorts of things to learn more, whether it's the deck, the workshop, the learn module, more videos, all sorts of stuff. So be sure to check the links in the description. If you like this episode, go ahead, give it a like, leave us a comment, and let us know what you think of these new capabilities. And stay tuned for the next episode of the SQL Server 2022 series. We hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.